Hi, welcome to World Sports Weekly. I'm Natalie Rydström. After an exciting race in Shanghai, the 2013 FIA Formula One World Championships moves to the Middle East for the fourth round, which is the Gulf-Air Bahrain Grand Prix in Shakir. Here with us now to discuss the betting odds and to tell us where the best value lies is Richard, sports writer and regular contributor to SBRForum. Richard, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, Richard, the race in Shanghai was won by Ferrari's Fernando Alonso. Are we expected to see a similar performance from him? And would you expect to see him replicate his success from the 2006 race in Bahrain?
I think Alonso's looking very good this week. The way that he dominated that race in Shanghai was something we've not seen for quite a long time from him, and quite a long time from Ferrari. Ferrari's car was a complete dog for the first half of last season, but since then they've been steadily on the up, and they've now got a really competitive vehicle for this race. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Alonso up there right from the word go.
Okay, and will Red Bull Racing Renault be able to maintain the Constructors' Championship after this race, even though they're in first place with 78 points?
It's going to be difficult for them. The Constructors' Championship is a slightly different animal to the Individual Drivers' Championship, because in the Constructors' competition, it's all about reliability. It's all about getting two of your cars to the finish. You get more points for finishing second and third and getting both your cars in the points than you do for getting one car winning the race and the other one bombing out completely. And that's been a problem for Red Bull. They had real trouble in Shanghai. Everything went wrong for poor old Mark Webber there. But even with Sebastian Vettel's car, they had difficulties. They were shaving bits off it during practice to try to make it go faster. And I think it's going to be a real issue for them this time around. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Ferrari picking up the 5 or so points they need to take over the lead in that championship.
Right, and is there any value betting Red Bull with odds of 4 to 5 for them to be the outright winners of the Constructors' Championships 2013? Or does Ferrari sound better considering they're the close underdogs priced at 7 to 4?
Ferrari sounds a lot better to me, and not just because the odds are more favourable, but also Red Bull have got so many problems at the moment. They've not just the car. There was massive animosity now between Vettel and Webber after Vettel overtook Webber against team orders in Malaysia. Massive problems between Vettel and the team. Massive problems, even greater problems between Webber and the team. It really is. Well, it's got to the point this week where they've had to deny that there's a conspiracy against Webber. And I think there's far more chance of those two drivers racing each other into the ground. Whereas at Ferrari, they've got Alonso, who is the out-and-out number one. They've got Felipe Massa, who's coming back into top form, knows how to get the car around, former world champion himself, coming back from that really horrible head injury that he suffered 2 years ago. And he's now seems quite content to be the Ferrari number 2 driver in a way that Webber isn't at Red Bull. He's quite content to get the car round, to take over if Alonso has problems. And I think it's Ferrari that could be in line for a Constructors' Championship this year, the way things are going.
Okay, now we've talked about the potential Constructors' Championship winner. Let's move on to the drivers. Now, will a bet on Vettel with odds of 6 to 4 to be the outright winner for the Driver Championships 2013, maintaining his championship reign and marking his 4th consecutive championship, be a good bet? Or do you think that there's more value betting on Kimi Räikkönen with odds of 13 to 2 to steal his thunder?
Räikkönen's gone really well this year. He's been I think in the places in all 3 races so far, as has Vettel, but in an entirely different way. And Räikkönen is a steady, consistent driver. He's absolutely number 1 at Lotus. He's got no competition there. They're doing all they can to keep him going. Had a little bit of a shunt in China, which probably cost him a place in that race. So he needs to rein in his natural attacking instinct. Vettel hasn't been good value all year. He's been champion 3 years in a row. He's going for a 4th. You're never going to get good odds on him. Probably worthwhile putting a little bit of money on him, but if you're looking to lay out a large sum and you want decent returns, then certainly Räikkönen's a possibility. Alonso is still a very strong possibility in the Ferrari. You've got some good choices there that aren't Vettel.
So what would your bet be, Richard, for the outright winner of this championship?
At the moment, my money is on Alonso. He's looked so strong, so in control, and he's got such a good team behind him, and he's got such a good car. I think on every level, he's going to edge ahead of the Red Bulls as the season goes on.
Okay. Now, listen, reliability has been one of the big things across the board this season, with more cars dropping out through driver error than vehicle failure. So this suggests that there could be value to be had betting which will be the first car to retire in Bahrain, especially that there's only been 6 accident-related retirements in the 8 races on that track. Now, what are your thoughts on that, and where is the value in your opinion?
This is a really good market to have a bit of a play around in, because the odds are usually starting quite lengthy. There's so many drivers to choose from. Shortest price guys at the moment are trading at around about 12 to 1. So you can look at a lot of people, and also you can consider that the guys that have previously been the prime candidates, the guys driving the Caterhams and Marussias, the 2 slowest cars in Formula One, are not the guys that are going out this year. They've all got round every single race so far because they're just being sensible. They're racing each other at the back of the field, having their own little competition. It's all about the drivers showing off and trying to get places in the bigger teams for next season or the season after that. But they are taking the cars round, and you've got to start looking at the complete accident cases. We saw Esteban Gutierrez last weekend pick himself up a 5-place grid penalty by smashing into the back of Adrian Sutil. And frankly, if there's anyone in Formula One I was going to crash into, it wouldn't be Sutil. He's not got the best of tempers. But perhaps a guy to look at here is someone like Romain Grosjean, who's got the worst accident record of any of the drivers at the moment, but has had a very, very anodyne type of season, driving as number 2 behind Raikkonen in the Lotus. And as someone said this week, it's almost like he's got to start having accidents again so people notice he's there.
Well, I hope he doesn't have any accidents, but, is this a risky bet to make, betting on retirement?
Not at all, because you can actually put a small amount of money on several drivers and stand a reasonable prospect of at least making a stake back. So, no, it's not. It's one where I would strongly recommend that you don't just plump all your money on one guy, but you spread it out cautiously and you can actually make some cash that way.
Okay. Now, finally, the all-important question, Richard, is who's going to be taking the top position in the podium after the race?
Well, we've had different winners in each of the races so far, and my bet for this race is it's going to be Mark Webber. He's had such a terrible season. Red Bull, they fall out with him, and they don't really want to fall out with him because he's such an ideal team driver. He's cooperative. He works really hard with all the technicians to get the car set up. He doesn't live very far away from their main factory, and they want to keep him. They want to keep him on board. They don't want to be losing him at the end of the season. I think they're going to pull all the stops out to give him a win in this race. And of course, because of what's been happening to him so far, he's at really decent odds as well.
Well, if Mark Webber would win the race, then that would clearly put Red Bull ahead once the European races begin.
It might do, but again, it comes back to this thing of you can get a car in first place and a car finishing much lower down the points and not pick up as many points as you would do for getting second and third, which is where I think the Ferraris are likely to come this week.
Okay, before we leave, Richard, a quick look ahead to the Spanish Grand Prix starting May 12th. Do you think that Fernando Alonso will have an advantage since he's racing at home?
It's an advantage to race on your home track, certainly. Although once you get to Jerez, it's a track that all the drivers are very familiar with. We've moved away from all the new tracks which we've had at the start of the season in Australia and Malaysia and China and in Bahrain. And we get to a track where people really know what they're doing. They're going to be very confident going round it. And then you start to get the thing about, well, then the pressure's on Alonso because the locals expect the win. And that was clearly something that got to Mark Webber in Australia, where people were gunning for him, but he couldn't quite pull it off. So, yeah, Alonso has got a chance, but it's not as helpful having home pressure there as it would be somewhere else.
Well, we'll be back for this first week of May to preview the Spanish Grand Prix, so be sure to tune in for that. Richard, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.